Hey everyone, welcome back to Going Goddess, the space where divine feminine meets radical authenticity. I'm Cherry. I'm here with my wonderful co-host.
Hi guys, I'm Silver Luna.
Yes. And today we're going deep, like Saturn Return kind of deep. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry. Keep listening because we have an incredible guest this week. She is a guide, a leader, and living embodiment of what it means to evolve in real time. From astrology and human design to shadow work and Dharma alignment, she's lived through it, learned from it, and is now here to share it with all of us. So please welcome Gabi to the podcast.
Hi guys, everyone. Oh my gosh. What an honor it is to be in this space with you both. My name is Gabi, Gabrielle. I actually know both of you from past timelines in my life, and it's so cool to be here right now. I've been watching your journey and evolution of this podcast come to life through both of your lenses, and I'm elated for the fact that you both did it. You both brought this to life and you're freaking doing it, and like really well, might I add. So anyways, thank you. Thank you for inviting me here to this juicy conversation. We're going to talk about all things Saturn, shadows, and self-discovery. So yeah, this topic has been really heavy on my mind for a while now that I'm on the other side, and I've been wanting to really share these stories and reflections, and this just feels like the perfect and right place to do it. So hi, who am I? My name is Gabrielle. They call me Nectar on the Moon and Burning Man. And in real life, I am a bartender, a botanist, and a baddie. And I've been studying and practicing astrology and human design for about 5 years consistently. And I have a lot to continue to learn, but also a lot to share from my own experiences and experiments and observations. So yeah, I'm a scientist at my depth. So the way that I learn things is very much by hands-on trial and error and experimentation and research. And so when I want to share my findings and teachings, I tend to explain by means of personal experience. And so this is what this conversation is going to be like. And honestly, it's 100% part of my design code is how I share my knowledge and light. So I could probably use this hour to like ramble on about the ins and outs of like 101 human design and astrology, but like you guys can do that on your own. This is going to be a platform to simply tell a story and trust that the ears that need to hear what I share will hear it, and something I say will resonate with somebody that's going through something or has been through something or is seeing someone go through something similar. So yeah. What I've learned about content creation and deliverance is like at the beginning, we need a hook. So first and foremost, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. And I'd like to take a minute just to right here and tell you how I became the person that I am today.
Perfect.
I loved it.
Gold. I loved it. And listeners, listen through all the way to the end for us to share some real life magic and how we all got connected together. But we're saving that for the end because I am ready to freaking dive in. Like, you got me jazzed. Let's go. I'm hooked.
Yes, there's going to be so much. I'm so excited to get started. So, welcome to the podcast, Gabi. You are perfect energy, and I am so excited for this conversation. So, let's start from the stars. Can you tell our listeners what exactly is a Saturn return, and why is it such a powerful turning point in our lives?
So, dun dun dun, the big Saturn return. Even if you've kind of just dabbled a little bit in astrology or heard a little bit about stuff with your natal chart or anything like that, you've probably heard of the Saturn return. There's a few celebrity phrases, I guess, like a Mercury in the microwave or retrograde and Saturn returns and stuff like that. But you might not exactly know exactly what that is, but guaranteed you felt it. Guaranteed either you're going through it or you've been through it. And you can kind of put the pieces together of, oh, that's what that was. So when I say Saturn return, I'm talking about the planet Saturn returning to the exact position in the sky as it's rotating in our solar system as it was the minute that you were born. So it takes about 27, 28, 29 years to return back to that exact position. And that is considered our Saturn return. Each planet has its own return. But we're going to talk about Saturn. And we actually have 2 to 3 Saturn returns in our life. But the first one is a big one because that's kind of the first big boss of maturity, the first big level up that a lot of people feel in their life. Take astrology out of it. When people kind of turn 30, you kind of realize you have this big level up. You kind of feel like a different person. You feel different superpowers kind of starting to activate. And it usually marks a pretty significant shift, a transformation of our maturity and a big level up in life. It can look completely different for every single one of us. There's really no guidebook or rules about what to expect when your Saturn returns. There are, some ways to kind of be prepared or at least look back on and get clarity of why you feel different or why these things have happened to you, or what the juice of like what the reward and what the power that comes through these shifts and struggles. It's not always a struggle, so to say, but we all have our unique story and hero's journey, and it's up to us to integrate what that means for us. So growth for a lot of people means struggle. Like getting out of your comfort zone is hard. It's gonna be a little difficult. And lessons in general, it's like beating a big boss in a video game. It's hard. Like all the other levels, you're like, okay, cool, next level, got some coin in my pocket. And then you get to the big boss and you have to like do it over and over again because it's freaking hard. But that's kind of the whole point. Is it's this initiation, so to say, this like rites of passage, this moment of taking a look back at your life and realizing what works and what's not working, and how to move forward, and how to kind of slough off the stuff that you've picked up from other people, and how to really like step into alignment and authenticity for yourself. But every hero has that moment where you go through a big, hard challenge, and there's just an even bigger reward on the other side. So yeah, I think that you don't even have to learn about astrology to really feel like this. But for me, learning about these astrological transits and energies can be really helpful in navigating your life journey. They're like cheat codes from the universe that can help us level up and like really fully live our game to the fullest. That's just me. Like learning about this stuff has really helped me in a lot of ways find clarity. So and understanding and learning how to move through life with more intention and knowing.
Yes.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I had known earlier in my life about what to look for and like what to pay attention to.
Yes. Me too. It really is like hindsight 2020.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. All of our young goddesses listening, pay attention.
Like we are sharing this with you because we went through it, and we want it doesn't mean that like knowing about your Saturn return doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be easy, but knowing about it can help you reframe when those challenges come up to be like, oh, this is the boss. This is the big boss. Like I'm leveling up right now. Challenge, leveling up. And so I think that's, totally part of the goddess journey, and what our mission is here is for women going through their Saturn return, or not, any challenge, to have like some tools to help it make that transition easier or to overcome those challenges in a more meaningful and like long lasting way. And I love what you said, Gabby, about integration and like really integrating the things that we learn. It's not just overcoming one challenge, but how does that shape who we are in our day to day and how, yeah, we approach everything moving forward. I know that with my Saturn return, my whole life changed completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I lost a whole group of friends that was very close to me. I say lost, the universe removed them from me because I asked it to. But it felt like loss, and like I was completely alone. Moved to a new state where I didn't know anyone, feeling like, oh my God, I lost my roots and like my what I thought where I thought I was going to live, and all of that. So just like those things, then I gave up alcohol knowing that no longer serves me, and that was a removal of an identity. Like, I was the party girl staying out all night. You could always count on me to meet you at a happy hour, and to no longer be that person. Looking back and like looking back at myself, it's like, oh baby girl, you had so much to learn, and now I can be like, yes, that was very difficult and very hard to go through that, but I am on the other side, like so much more in alignment with who I am. And listeners, I want that for you too.
Oh my gosh,
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I think it's so cool. All of us are on the other side of our Saturn returns as we speak. Saturn's actually about to transit into a new sign. So if your Saturn was in Pisces, your Saturn return is almost over, but it's really not super rigid. Mine, I felt, lasted for about 5 years of learning Saturn's lessons and disciplines. I didn't really lean into my lessons as much as I could. I resisted a lot, so I had to repeat the big boss level a few more times than I really wanted to.
Because that's so true. Like, if we hear it, like, why am I dealing with this over and over? It's like, because you haven't learned your lesson yet, and that is just the truth. So
yep.
like, so good.
Oh my gosh.
How can we lean into our lessons more? Like, what are some examples, do you think?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So just being aware. So if you're around age, 27, 28, 29, let's go, baby. This is it. Just being kind of aware of the fact that things are going to shake up. Saturn really is the daddy of discipline and karma and restrictions and delays. And so if you're kind of just going through your life, kind of like I was, riding high, like on the top of my tower of identity, like you said, it really kind of like shook up who I thought I was. I was riding high, and I could have been like, okay, Saturn's about to come back into Capricorn. Like, how can I kind of like work on my inner work and my shadows? How can I lean into the lessons that I could feel in the back of my mind that were pulling at me? It's this rite of passage. It really, like, it tells us, it strips us down and asks us to rebuild and take responsibility for the choices we've made in our lives. And that's really hard to face. If for me, it's like the fuck around, it's like the find out phase and fuck around and find out, you know what I mean? Like, it's time to find out. Like, if you've made some bad decisions, or you haven't been disciplined in your inner work, or if you've been disassociating or pushing away your shadows like I was, like, Saturn's like, it's time to find out. So I think leaning into that is going to make it a little easier. I think it's interesting. I'm not really too keen on talking about celebrities, but it's one way that we can all kind of witness something that we've seen somebody in public eye go through. And for example, I've seen a couple of celebrities that I know have gone through their Saturn returns, and they have fallen out of the spotlight. Something has happened. Like Miley Cyrus, for example, her whole house burned down. She lost all of her pets. She came back a completely different person. She had a different voice. She had to take a step back from her life and really like deal with that. One that's recent is like Ariana Grande. She looks and feels and is completely different. I'm not sure exactly what she went through, but there was always this kind of like pause of like coming out of the spotlight for a little bit and then coming back and being a completely like a different vibe, a different energy. I was reading about just different celebrities and Saturn Returns. And Emma Watson actually has a quote where she said that she chose to step out of work and she chose to step out of her relationship for during her Saturn return, whether that was intentional or that was just her soul being like, step out and work on your stuff. That's kind of like a very similar experience that a lot of us had. Like you said, Cherry, you felt a huge loss. And also I feel like there was COVID as well, to making us all kind of step back and take a step away from all of the things that we knew about ourselves and our identities and reality and everything. So yeah, it's really interesting, like going through the Saturn return cycle during this COVID situation too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when you when you step into this new chapter of your life, you need to take a look at your hard drive and see what's working, what's not aligned anymore, what was programmed into you by other people, society expectations, survival instincts, all of this stuff. As a child, as a blank slate, we just start building our tower of identity. That's how we survive as a human. We have to build up who we are in this society. But that's based on all of these outside programmings. So along with our authentic foundations and our authentic energy, we're also building blocks in our towers based on all these other false sense of security and false sense of identity. So by the time your Saturn returns, you have built a pretty high tower of who you think you are and who you are to other people and who you present yourself as. And it's the foundation of your ego, your identity. So you're climbing, you're growing, you're experimenting, you're blooming into this person that you are when you're 28 and 29. And like for me, like I genuinely looked at myself from an outside perspective at age 28, 29 and thought, damn, like she's a baddie. And I am, we all are. But like on the inside, I felt like a little bit of an imposter, because I could feel that although my tower was high, I had built up these expectations and built on these projections from other people. I could still feel like my foundations were a little unstable and crumbling a little bit. I had built on fear and defense mechanism and people pleasing, as well as kind of a give no fucks attitude towards nurturing myself. I was gaining a lot of power by rising up in the eyes of others, but still felt completely inadequate, like an imposter deep down. But I wasn't doing any of the inner work to figure that out. I was just still shining, doing cool stuff, being the baddie that I am, but not paying attention to what was crumbling underneath me. And then boom, Daddy Saturn, big boss came around and he asked me, he says, what's not working for you and why? And I'm like, what do you mean that's not working for me? Everything's working for me. Look at me. Look at my resume. Like, look at all the cool things that I'm doing. What do you mean? And he's like, well, it's time to level up. Like, what are you bringing with you and what are you leaving behind? And what karma do you need to pay for? What restrictions are you holding on yourself? So I think that, yeah, I mean, it leaning into it. From now looking back, having clarity, I shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? I was indulging in substance abuse and bad relationships, and not taking care of myself, and not really taking care of all the people that were looking up to me. I was being reckless, and I just kept going. So I think that I could have leaned in a little bit more and said, hey, this relationship that I'm in is not working for me. I'm going to make the decision to leave that. I'm going to make the decision to step back a little bit and work on these things. But I didn't. And that decision was made for me. And it was hard and ugly.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
I feel like it's always harder whenever that decision's made for you.
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think that's like a whole thing about this conversation is once I was going through that, I started to ask myself, like, why can't I make these decisions for myself? I go into freeze mode, right?
Whoa.
It's like fight or flight or freeze. I go into freeze mode when a big decision has to be made because I don't know what's right for me. I wasn't trusting my intuition. I was escaping. I was people pleasing. And so I started to wonder, like, why can't I make the decisions? And why am I always getting into a position where the decisions are made for me? And
Yeah.
it's never aligned for me. And that's really what kind of brought me into trying to learn about myself and learning about my human design and learning how to truly make correct decisions for me. And it
Yes.
was really, it's hard to let go of the people pleasing
It is.
and the fear.
Yes. And like something that you said earlier that I really love is like, yeah, 27, 28, 29, like feeling on top of it, like made it through my 20s. Now I have like maybe a better job, a little more money, like stronger relationships, like heading into my 30s, like you feel like you're at the top of your shit. And like, I hope listeners that you are, and that you're taking care of your energy right now and you're aligned with your purpose. But, studies show, like, I don't know, examples of us three is we weren't doing that. And very similar, very similar to Gabby. I mean, same thing here, thinking like, oh yeah, I know that I want to be a life coach and I want to help people and I have a great job and I'm getting married and all of these things. But I had within me this like, ooh, yeah, there's some stuff that you're ignoring the shit out of. And like you're telling yourself you're queen of moderation. No, like say it with your chest to your face. Like, I don't know, you can't. I couldn't. And so I wish that I had listened to any voice within me that was like, hey, that feeling of slow down, of like, hey, maybe hibernate a little bit and like focus on you, do that. Instead, I was like, let's go to Miami with all my
Exactly.
Let's go, girl.
and that was the beginning of losing so, I mean, yeah, so like just I guess to put another like click on the fact that it's hard and it's not something that we're like really all looking forward to. But I would love if there's a way that we could paradigm shift this and like, hey, you're 25, like, in the next 5 years you're about to go through some real shit. Like, let's get some stuff figured out right now so that when you go through it, we're not saying it's going to be easy, but you have all of the tools in place to make it even that much more potent and impactful.
I think the important part too is that our listeners listen to themselves. They listen to their intuition. They listen to these signs and signals because, like, my Saturn return was a time of like curiosity, and I was growing a lot in the form of like, I don't really know what my interest is. Like, I have no idea what I'm interested in, if I want to do like an artistic venture, if I want to focus on my career, if I want to focus on like a hobby. So that's whenever I picked up aerial, and then I picked up macrame, and then I started vending because I wanted to fill up my time. But then I also started like some other side ventures, and I just never really knew what I wanted. And I kept accumulating more people that I thought were my friends and not really paying attention to them, or if like they were actually like had my best interest at heart. And then it all kind of like boiled over. And then that's whenever like my Saturn return started. And I started to realize whenever that friendship ended, because it was also forced away from me. Thank you, universe.
Yeah.
I'm glad that it was. It all like kind of blew up in our faces right in the middle of COVID. And then we went to Burning Man after. And that's whenever I think I hit my peak like Saturn return moment. And that's whenever I met Gabi, was at that event. And that whole time, a lot of what I was learning was to use my voice and to speak up because I was feeling silenced. The entire time at Burning Man, like I had a lot of, I want to say come to Jesus moments because of Jesus. We had a lot of really deep conversations. Yeah, right.
Yeah. That's your husband's name, listeners, in case you didn't know. Laura's husband's name.
Yes. But like we had a lot of moments where I would be talking to campmates or to new people that we would meet, and instead of listening to me, they would listen to Jesus. And then whenever I would be talking, like I could be in the middle of a sentence and they would just turn around and walk off. Like my voice it fell on deaf ears all the time, and it felt really hurtful. But I also recognized in that moment, in that trip and on the way back, and as we were like, really getting to decompress on the way out of Burning Man, I was like, maybe it's because I lean too much on you to speak on my behalf. I let you make the decisions. I ask you to go do the things that I don't want to do. So you pick all these things up and people see you as like, my point of contact. And that's whenever I really hit my peak moment of like, this has been me all along. I've never actually stood up for what I wanted or talked and like used my voice. And that's why it's because I didn't know what I wanted, between like aerials and macrame and all these different hobbies and all these people that I wasn't really sure how close I was friends with them. It's because I never actually like used my own opinion.
I love what you said there. You took accountability like for your life and like your truth. And it's easy to be like, and you take the spotlight from me and you ignore me and all these things. But for you to turn it back and be like, no, my truth is that I have a voice and I'm not using it. Yeah, that's so powerful. Where can we take accountability for the situations that we find ourselves in?
Mm-hmm.
So I think
your eyes were so big and I was just cracking up.
I was having some crazy doubt. Okay, so I did some deep dives on both of your charts, obviously, before coming into this, because it's just kind of an obsession for me. I want to know everyone's human designs. And I started to really, I'm thinking about my Saturn and where my Saturn sits in my chart and going deeper into what house my Saturn rules. And I also looked into the different houses that your Saturns are in, and just what you just said just lines up perfectly. Cherry, so your Saturn is in Aquarius. You both have Saturn in Aquarius, so you're both going through your Saturn returns at very similar times. So Cherry, your Saturn is in your 11th house, which is the house of gains and wishes, and the negative to that for that ruling is there's negative connotations, there's negative moments in friendships and social connections. And so it's just so interesting that that's like what was your main takeaway of your Saturn return is this 11th house. The negative version of what happens in there is that's what you kind of felt. And then Silver, your Saturn is in your 10th house, which is the career, the public life, the reputation, the legacy. And that's exactly what you were just talking about. You were trying to figure out what you wanted, what your legacy, your reputation, your career, how to use your voice. And that's the big takeaway of what your Saturn return was teaching you, is where your Saturn actually is sitting in your chart. And for me, all right, my Saturn is in my 5th house, which is rules relationships, and that's where I had my big blowout was in my relationships. And I just that's just so crazy.
That is so cool.
That's wild.
I love that. I love that.
That is so cool.
Thank you for that. Yeah. Man, there's so much to be gleaned from. I mean, if you're interested, listeners, in astrology or human design, like there's so much that can be gleaned from it as a way to experiment with your life, trying a new way of being, or maybe looking it up and seeing if it resonates with something that you went through. yeah, I've found it super supportive in that way, and so cool. Like you just proved again that, yep, that's
Absolutely. And like you
perfect.
were saying before, how to be prepared. There's no real way to be prepared, but how to be prepared is you have these tools in your pocket. Like the universe is giving you these cheat codes. There are these, well, like ancient known modalities of pattern recognition,
Mhm.
it from the stars, from the neutrinos and human design and all of that. And it's at your accessible. You could use that to beat your boss. You don't have to, but you have these tools. So you could go in and be like, okay, well, Saturn's in my 10th house, it's going to affect my career. So how can I really dive into this lesson? And
Mhm.
or like for me, Saturn's in my 5th house. It's going to affect my relationship. Maybe I should take a step back and redefine my relationships and step out of the toxic one that I was in before Saturn returns. Right? So it's definitely all just tools at your disposal if you want to use them.
Yes, exactly right. I love
That's so
that.
awesome.
Okay, I have a question, and then we've kind of like gone into like the second segment, but the last one, and because we're talking more about charts, I know that you have mentioned, Gabby, that you have a very Saturnian chart, Aquarius sun and a Capricorn stellium, which I'm not sure what that is, so I'd love to know. And how did those placements shape the intensity of your experience?
So this is also something that I've like really started to find clarity on and realize after my Saturn return was that I am very, very much ruled by Saturn. Saturn is
Mm.
my daddy. Like he is here, like he's not going to let me have the easy way out. Like I have to work for it. I am not getting out of detention or whatever. Saturn is my daddy. Like, okay, so Aquarius and Capricorn are both ruled by Saturn traditionally. Aquarius is also ruled by Uranus. But my sun sign is an Aquarius, and I have a Capricorn stellium, which means I have 3 or more positions where Capricorn is in my natal chart. Capricorn is my north node, which is my north star, I guess, where my soul is evolving into the lessons that I'm learning and trying to embody in this life is Capricorn. I'm learning how to be a Capricorn. It's not familiar to me, but I'm learning that energy, that discipline, that rigidity, the power, the masculinity, I guess, that comes with like taking up for myself and making it happen.
Mm.
Capricorn is also my Lilith, which is my shadow. So
Mm.
not only is my soul yearning to be more Capricornian, it's also my shadow. It's also the thing that I have to deal with, that I have to face within myself, that I have limitations of, that I don't quite, for me, like shadows really is just the other side of a superpower. It's the same coin. It's just you haven't
Mm.
shined light on your superpower. And that's like really what. So my Lilith, my superpower, my North Node, my Mercury, the way I communicate, my Neptune and my Uranus, those are all in Capricorn. So my
Oh.
whole chart is very, very Saturnian ruled. And I like to, well, basically, yeah, it ain't easy. I think some people get off a little easier on their Saturn returns. And I'm over here like like really still I've, it's 5 years after my Saturn return, are we still doing this? And it's like, oh wait, no, that's just, I think my whole life is very
Yeah.
like, it's a power that I need to embrace instead of be a victim of. And I had a conversation with my friend recently, and I was like, I feel like my Saturn return never ends. And she was like, no, babe, you're just Sailor Saturn.
Yeah.
Like from Sailor, you're just Sailor Saturn. That's literally your superpower. That's who you are. You came here to learn that lesson, to be an expert on that Saturn kind of, because energy, because it's powerful going through those struggles. Like adversity breeds strength. I came
Yes.
here in this incarnation to get freaking strong. And I can't do that without going through these struggles and these hardships. So I think redefining and reframing the idea of being a victim of all of this Saturnian energy and like, oh man, that's so hard. Like I look at other people that are this is very astrology, so I forgive you if you don't understand what I'm talking about, but other people who are ruled by Jupiter, very lucky, very lucky. They get lots of like things just kind of happen for them. People ruled by like the sun, it's very much like in the spotlight, they're like a very main character, you know, and I'm over here like, oh, I have to do all that. It's fine. Karmic lessons, let's go. But that's what I came here to learn and be good at, I guess.
I love that. Yeah, I want to know who I'm ruled by. No.
So you're a Leo, yes?
Yes.
So
So that.
Leo's ruled by the sun, luminary. And
Oh,
if you have a lot of like a Leo or lunar ruled place, solar lunar ruled placements, you're like a luminary. You're very like spotlight, main character, kind of like alpha leader vibes.
it's in my human
God's
design.
favorite.
We got left angle cross of the alpha. I'm here to
Yep.
lead it. So it could very well be.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's so interesting. Thank you for kind of giving me a deep dive on all of that. And now I have like all these things I'm excited to look up about my chart.
Yeah, how do you find that? How do you find all of it?
So basically like you kind of go with your sun sign, your rising sign, the signs that shine the most, I guess, through you, your sun and your rising and your moon are your top three. Each constellation, each sign has a ruling planet or a luminary. So you can kind of look that up, like what planet rules Aquarius, Saturn and Uranus, what planet rules Capricorn, Saturn, what planet, not a planet, what rules Leo, sun, you know, what rules Cancer, moon, Scorpio, yes,
Aries.
Aries, oh, Aries. I don't want to say the wrong thing. We'll look it up.
That's awesome. So just like
That's
even
awesome.
more things to look up. That's great.
Yeah, right.
I know. Okay, so kind of into the next segment, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but I'd love to know even more. You know, you've spoken openly about hitting rock bottom and how that became a gateway to profound transformation. Wondering if you'd be willing to share that moment with us. Yeah, and if not, we can just like skip it, move forward. But I think your story is super powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like I said before, the way I teach is by sharing my stories, by collecting stories and sharing them. So yeah, absolutely. I think, okay, so my tower moment, Saturn return, my personal Saturn return tower moment actually happened when I was very much being watched by many, many people. I was in the spotlight. I wouldn't say like fame spotlight or like on TikTok, everybody's watching my downfall, but definitely in my community at large. I was very much in the spotlight, very much in a leadership position. And that kind of made it a little harder, just having to deal with disappointing a lot of people and I think that made it harder for me to step away because I was fulfilling a role. So yeah, basically I stepped into a leadership position in my community during my journey as a burner, going to Burning Man. I started going to Burning Man with when I was living in Hawaii. I became a leader and a lead choreographer in the Hawaii Fire Artist Conclave, and I would help lead the crew to spin fire at Burning Man. When I moved back to Tennessee, at age 24, I had a mission to, you know, build a strong community and bring what I've learned from this Burning Man culture and this Burning Man community that I've grown up in my early 20s in Hawaii, and bring it to my hometown. And I was in the right place at the right time. I met up with Andrea. We built a regional burn from the ground up with no expectations. I was 24 years old. I had never been to I had never been to a regional burn. I had only been to Burning Man. I didn't know what a regional burn even was, but I was building one. I was creating one with epic mentors. But I didn't even mean to, but I found myself in a leadership position that I didn't think I was worthy of. I was still 24 years old. I was still just figuring myself out. And all of a sudden, I became the leader of a regional burn. And I had no idea how many people and how big the southeastern burn circle actually was. All of the southeastern regional burns are very cool and very big and very important. There's a lot of amazing people leading these burns, events, festivals. It's a very life-changing type of experience that people kind of come away a different person, inspired, making art, illuminated. So there's a lot of respect that comes with holding that leadership position. And I stumbled into it and I had imposter syndrome like a motherfucker. Like, who in their right minds would listen to me? I like just got here. Nobody knows who I am. I'm literally the youngest person in the room. I would go to these conferences of all the Burning Man leads and all of the Southeast. And everybody was like older and wise and experienced. And I was just like, let's go to the Burning Man. And but like that catapulted me. I had no choice but to step into and use my voice. And I actually, so the burn that I created is called To the Moon. And I actually got this tattoo. It's on my throat. It's a moon tattoo because of the fact that doing this pushed me into this position of power and pushed me to be able to use my voice. My throat chakra was opened. I was able to, I was looking around and realizing that like people were listening to what I was saying. I had power, I had influence for the first time in my life. And I didn't feel worthy of it, but I just ran with it. I just was winging it. You know what I mean? And then I was riding the high. I found a lot of confidence. I became a light for others, an inspiration. People would come up to me all the time and just thank me or share, gratitude, or just say, like, I had a lot of people watching me more than I knew and more than I was even aware of. And so but there's pressure that comes with that because people watch everything that you do. Like you kind of have to be you don't have to be anything, but I want to be a good influence. If I have influence, I want to be a good influence. But I was also going through a time in my life where I hadn't learned all my lessons. I hadn't done my shadow work and inner work. And I was riding this high really, really fast to the top. I was, I had dreads. I was this like hippie, love and light type of person. And yes, it was very authentic. I wasn't trying to make money or, you trying to like manipulate people with that. It was very authentic, but it was a little in the false container of that because I was preaching this love and light without embracing my own darkness. And I was actually shaming myself for my darkness as I was trying to be a light for other people. And I felt pressure to be that light. And I was ignoring my own efforts to nurture myself and my own energy. And, at that time, I don't know, trigger warning at the beginning, I guess. But, at that time I was spiraling into a party scene and, getting into substances and drinking and irresponsible sexual conduct and, stuff that kind of like people from the outside look at festivals and parties and they're like, oh, drugs and alcohol and sex. And yes, there is that, but you could do that in a smart and contained and moderated way. And I started to not do that. And people were watching me spiral into addiction. People were watching me make really bad decisions in my relationship. And or with people around me, and you know, started to question, like, am I masquerading in this, behind this false light, while I'm indulging in escapism and darkness? And not saying that all of those things that you're doing is, like, if you're doing drugs, you're dark and shadowy, but like, there, for me, it wasn't a healthy, I wasn't finding medicine, I wasn't finding community, I wasn't doing it for the right reasons.
Mm.
um so, you know, eventually all that came to head, as it
Mm.
usually does when you ignore your inner work. And, you know, I'm like chasing this high of attention and approval and partying. And I was burning hotter and hotter and getting farther away from my own morals and boundaries. And I don't know, I was just bound to implode eventually. I just kept riding higher and higher and climbing higher and higher on my tower of ego that was built on a crumbling foundation.
Mm.
And so I was not only well known in the Southeast Burn community, but I also stepped into a leadership position working for Burning Man itself as the regional contact for the whole state of Tennessee. I was
What?
bumping elbows with big time leads of Burning Man itself, and the, you know, the biggest and well-known regional burns. And to the point where, like, random people at Burning Man would come up to me and know who I was or know about To the Moon. And
Oh.
there's a funny saying at Burning Man. It's like a sticker people say, but like, I'm famous at Burning Man. It's like, everyone can be famous at Burning Man. It's accessible to everyone. But like, I was like, I feel famous at Burning Man. Like, so yeah, there was a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressure for that. And yeah, when it was time for my Saturn to return, time for me to face the music and see if what I had built for myself was really true to me. And a lot of it wasn't. There was a lot of pressure to not fuck up.
Mm.
I'm a huge people pleaser, recovering from that, but huge people pleaser. And eventually it piled on, and I chose to self-destruct, I think, because it was too much. My fight or flight freeze reflex came on, and instead of publicly addressing my faults and taking a step back from, you know, even just taking a step back from my leadership position or taking a step back from my relationship, the decision was made for me, and I cheated in my relationship. I caused harm to people around me in my circle, by influencing, you know, not great things. I ended up running away with a random dude who was a literal criminal. And I dropped out of everything. I disappeared. I burned all of my bridges with all of my closest friends. I just was, I was, I lost respect. I lost my reputation. I got sucked into a narcissistic, abusive relationship because I was too afraid to face the fact that I had hurt everyone that I loved. My previous relationship, all my friends, all my fans, all, you know, all my community that were following me into this beautiful thing that I was, I guess, selling with my energy. And I ran away from all of it. I self-destructed. I picked up a nasty ketamine habit. I was severely addicted, doing way too much every single day. I lost sense of myself. I lost all of my money, my friends, my things, my items, my reputation, my love for myself. Um, the only thing I could do was either like end my story or figure this the fuck out. And at that point, I had called my dad, and I was like, this is my last resort. I don't know what to do. And so he said, come stay on my couch. We can figure it out. I had zero. I was at the bottom, rock bottom. I had destroyed everything that I had built. And I went to stay with my dad on his couch because he doesn't have a guest room. And then, boom, COVID happened. So I'm isolated on my dad's couch with nothing and no one and nothing to escape into and nothing to uh, deflect. There was absolutely nothing to do but face my shadows. And like I could have maybe done that like by myself or like tried to figure it out before, but I literally had to I literally had to wait till everything was stripped away from me to actually face myself and to actually figure out who what am I without this tower of ego that I had built? Who am I without Burning Man and blah 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 and all this stuff? Who am I and why can I not make decisions for myself? Why am I so bad at making why how can I don't hear my intuition anymore. It feels like I don't have a guiding light anymore. Where did that go? How do I make decisions for myself? How do I figure this out? And so I really just started from the rock bottom with absolutely nothing and no one to distract me. I literally just started devouring podcasts. Shout out.
Hey.
I was if you guys were doing your podcast, I probably would have clicked on it back then. So, you know, I hope that whoever is hearing this at the right time. Because it really was. I was gardening every single day. I was just focusing on getting I was, you know, obviously going through rehab essentially on my dad's couch, getting completely sober, gardening every single day, and just listening to podcasts, just trying to devour as much as I could about like self-help and therapy and psychology and spirituality and astrology and one thing after another. Like I wasn't even like the perfect podcast would just show up, you know, like I know my guides were helping me. I know that I wasn't searching. It was just the right thing would pop up and I would listen to it and be exactly what I needed to hear at the exact right time. And all of a sudden I started to hear about human design within these, you know, I listened to this one, Lacey Phillips, To Be Magnetic. And it was about like manifesting and the science of manifestation. And she started talking about human design. And I was like, whoa, there was something that just lit up. For the first time, I felt this energy like snake up through my whole body. And I was just like vibrating, just listening about her one episode about human design. And I was just like, what is this? You know what I mean? This feels right. This feels like what I'm looking for. Like, oh, I literally want to figure out how I'm designed, like how my energy and how my brain works. It's literally the user manual of how I work and how I can make better decisions for myself and how I can like be aligned in my unique and perfect energy without getting bogged down by people pleasing and all these other things pressured onto me. So I started listening to the De Luna podcast. Shout out. Listen to like every single if anyone's really curious about human design, pop on over to De Luna. They literally from the very beginning, start at episode 1. I devoured all of it. It's so amazing. They are really good at teaching the 101, at teaching like, and from there, I started getting all the books and researching myself and doing my own experiments and started talking to other people. I mean, like, what's your birth date and location? I want to look up your stuff, you know? And then from there, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. That I see that in you. That makes sense for me. And I started to really, I was like, this is it. I really want to dive in like full force and experiment with this. And so that's what I've been doing, literally head in since 2020 for the past 5 years, is like full on researching it and experimenting it and seeing how it affects me on the daily. And it's just been really very helpful and beautiful, and it's changed my life. It's exactly what I needed to find in that moment.
Oh, so good. So powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is, yeah, your story is so freaking powerful. I mean, like I have, okay, so I told listeners we'd say this for the end, but I have to just share it now. Gabby has talked about fans. I have been Gabby's fan for most of my life. We actually grew up in the same city, Knoxville, Tennessee, and we both played volleyball. And I just thought Gabby was the coolest person ever. She was like a year or two ahead of me. But then when Gabby went to college and went to Hawaii, I was like, oh my God, of course, she's a hippie. She's got dreads. I was like wanting to be you so bad. Like, it's so funny that now, like, we're here. This is over 10 years later after college and everything. And like, I got like 2 little dreads. I was like, I can't do the whole head, but I had 2 little dreads and like would tie my hair up and like wore like blue tie dye and just like totally just like followed your journey and like followed your journey with the burns and like the fire dancing and everything, and just seeing you create this community and just like loving you from afar. And so to hear your story and all the things that you've gone through since then, I am so honored to be sitting here with you and to get to have this conversation. Here you are, like shining so bright as the sun, like a beacon in the world for so many of us. And so like, just thank you for pushing through on that, on like your hardest moments. Your fans, thank you.
Mhm.
The collective thanks you, because the work that we each do individually, listeners, like it has ripple effects. And just in this story, like I've known Gabby, we were not like really friends, like we didn't talk. She didn't even know that I thought she was like the coolest person ever. And then like actually 5 years ago when Gabby was talking about she came back to Knoxville, I saw her on the day that my husband and I got engaged. And I thought it was so cool that Gabby was working at the bar, that like my fiance, or my boyfriend at the time, who a few hours later would be my fiance, like just popped in and I saw her, and then we didn't like see each other ever again. Like, I don't know, but in the midst of that, I moved to Oklahoma, that was the beginning, or I was in the midst. I think we're still going through it, but that was kind of the beginning of Saturn Return, was right around that time, or before I moved to Oklahoma. And one of the first people I met that I felt really energetically connected to and excited about, Silver Luna. So awesome. And listeners, this is where the magic gets even cooler. So we're on Facebook. I'm friends with Silver Luna and her husband Jesus. I'm friends with Gabby on Facebook. Jesus posts something, or Jesus commented on Gabby's post. And I was like, what is going on? I just met this guy, Jesus, and his wife, Silver, in Oklahoma. They are commenting on my friend Gabby from Knoxville, Hawaii's. How do they know each other? What is happening? And it turns out they met at Silver. I'll let you take over.
Yeah, we met at Burning Man. Really freaking crazy, because even thinking about this timeline, that was like if Gabby came into where your husband works, where G works, and then like a year later we met at Burning Man.
We walked into where she was working.
Wait,
But then
reverse.
later, yeah.
Wait, reverse. Yeah, so you guys went to where Gabby worked. And then like a year later, I met Gabby without us all knowing. And then now, like flash forward, it's like how that is so crazy. Like what are the odds that that would
The
happen?
strings of fate connect us all. So when you walked into my bar in 2019, that was the beginning of my Saturn. My Saturn was returning. That was the beginning of my downfall when you walked into my bar and you got engaged. So cool.
Oh.
You met me in my Saturn return. And then when I met Silver at Burning Man, we camped together and you were in the middle of your Saturn return.
Yeah.
And when Cherry moved to Oklahoma and met Silver, you were in the middle of your Saturn return. So I'm just saying, it's kind of cool.
Universally connected. And I remember,
and now we're having this conversation.
Yes,
I
about
remember
the
at Burning Man, like it was so nice to get to talk to somebody that was actually like listening to me, and I felt like I could connect with, and like it was one of the few other people in the camp that actually seemed to be fairly empathetic. It's like I just need someone to hear me. But yeah, it's awesome. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yeah, and like just really interesting that like the universe gave me like this feeling about you, Gabby, like
Right?
way early on. And I've had since then have had feelings like that about other people, that every time it's like, oh, for a reason, and they're still in my life. And like, so listeners, I just want to encourage you, if you feel like a pull about someone, just like, yeah, lean into it, get curious about it. Maybe it's just loving them from a distance for 15 years, that's fine. And like just commenting on their things and telling them that you think they're awesome. Because you just really never know what it turns into. And now, like, this is so special. It's magic in real time. So thank you for that again. And yeah, I'm just blown away. I love it. Okay, so getting back a little bit on topic, we're talking about human design, how that came into your life and really helped ease the process of, you know, the Saturn return, giving you the tools that you needed to like identify what was aligned for you and what was bullshit. Let me see what it looked like to start living by strategy and authority. What are those in human design for our listeners? And yeah, what does that mean to you?
Yeah. So yeah, strategy and authority. What is it? That's kind of the first thing you kind of hear about when you learn about human design. So the thing about learning about your design, it's not just learning the terminology and memorizing it and then you're set. You're like, oh, well, I'm this. That's cool. I'm a manifesting generator. Let's keep going on with our lives. Like, what does it mean? It's really just the beginning of an ongoing experiment in soul growth and alignment. And as soon as you're aware of something, you have no choice but to start to notice it popping up in your life and start to notice those little pings of intuition telling you to send that person a podcast or ask that person what's up or whatever. You start to notice all these things, and then you can go back and look at your design and realize like, oh, that's where that's coming from. So I think like for me specifically, that was a main point. That was my big question. My biggest desire for rewiring my brain and rewriting my story was learning how to make better decisions in life. And so part of this experiment of your human design is learning what your specific energy type is. It's like knowing what type of vehicle you're driving in this reality, right? This is our vessel that our soul is driving in order to experience this reality. So if you don't know what kind of vehicle you're driving or how it works, you're going to probably have a little harder time getting down the road and navigating life, right? You're going to try to drive your sports car like a minivan, or your diesel truck like a smart car. It's not gonna do what it's supposed to do. It's gonna be a little hard. You're not getting the full experience out of your life if you don't even know how your vehicle works, what tools you have, what energy body, what energy type you have, and the ways to use it. So when I found out that I'm a manifesting generator, honestly, so many things clicked into place and started to make sense. I was like, oh, that's why. Okay, now I understand a little bit more about myself. And it's not like I heard this term and I was like, okay, well, that's me now. It actually resonated. It was like, oh, this is something that I've been feeling my entire life. Now I have a term for it. Now I have a map to be able to understand what I already know about myself, but now I can talk about it. Now there's a language. So a lot of things that I was shaming myself for, being broken or what's wrong with me, was actually just aspects of my energy that I didn't understand, was actually just my superpowers. So along with that, the first thing that you do with learning about which energy type you are and having that clarity moment of like, okay, things make sense. I'm not broken. I'm cool. I'm good. We're good. The first thing that you really do when you start to experiment and really start to embody and find alignment in that is practicing living by your strategy and authority. So, everybody has an authority where your main source of intuition lies. Everybody has a strategy with which to make decisions with which to move forward, a strategy for you that's specifically designed to help you make the right decision. You have the user manual for your vehicle, finally, to figure out like where your power comes from and how to use it. Like, and so experimenting with it on the daily is how you really start to like build that trust muscle of understanding, you know, what it looks like, what it feels like, and how to do it. So if you start with small decisions and start to build that trust within yourself, then when it comes for a big life decision or a hard decision, you know without a doubt that you've been following your strategy in 30 for a couple years now, or a couple days, or you know what it feels like, and you know that you can trust that whatever decision you make is the right one. So
I mean, that
okay.
in itself is so exciting. Like,
Right?
that's something that I definitely dealt with before. And like you just said, you know, dealing or going through Saturn return, it's like, how do I make decisions? Like, what's the best way for me to? And I make one. Do I know if that's the right one for me? And this gives you how to do that based on you. Like, they're different for everyone.
Exactly. It like it makes your life like, oh, actually a little bit more easier and
Yes.
magnetic. Um so, you know, so there's 5 different types of energy types, and each one has a different strategy that we use to tap into our intuition. For me, my strategy is to respond, not to initiate, not to force anything to happen, but to simply respond to life as it comes to me. And it's like, whoa, what do you mean? How are you going to make things happen in your life? What do you mean? You're just going to sit back and let like life come to you? I'm like, literally, yeah. Literally, yes. That's what I'm meant to do. I'm supposed to trust the fact that if I stay in alignment with my energy, life will magnetize towards me because I'm a generator. I'm a manifesting generator. Life is literally like coming towards me. People come towards me. Opportunities come towards me. Choices, everything comes towards me, and all I have to do is to respond with like a guttural yes or no, immediate, in the moment. And it's like, whoa, cheat code. I don't have to let it go to my brain. Oh, I don't have to overthink. I don't have to people please. As soon as I let that moment pass and I start being like, oh, what are the pros and cons? Like, what if this person is upset if I make this decision? Blah, 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 blah. Then I'm probably going to make the wrong decision. But if I literally just sit there in my alignment and let life come to me, and immediately in the moment have a gut reaction, have a sacral reaction, response, and trust it, the first time, that response gets louder and stronger and stronger. And then I can go through life literally just responding yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I'm not even gonna question it, because I know, right? I know I'm in alignment.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's like, wow, that's so easy. All I have to do is really like, and for projectors too, like me and Silver are both manifesting generators.
It changed
Projector, Cherry, yeah, exactly. You figure out you're a projector, right? You said it changed your life. It changes your whole perspective, because everybody's wired and conditioned to all work like generators, or, you know, be a manifestor, or, you know, we're all conditioned to be the same and work the same and do the same, and it's like it doesn't work for you. So when you find out who you really are and what you're designed to do, it really does change your life. And all you have to do is just do what lights you up and activate your energy so that life comes to you, and as a projector so that people come to you and invite you, you know, like using your voice. You both have such powerful voices in your human design charts. You both have this gate, this like open channel voice that comes off of your throat chakra, that like anything that you say, just the resonance of your voice, you could be like saying gibberish, just the resonance of your voice is influential, and people will like learn from it, like you're a channel, like and so that's what you're meant to be doing, is sharing your voice and putting it out there. And I think you've mentioned on a podcast before, Cherry, that like you putting yourself on a podcast and sharing your authenticity and sharing what you know and your insights is the lighthouse, and people click on Going Goddess. That's the invitation. So you're doing exactly, like, you're so aligned. You're doing exactly what you're designed to do, so that your specific light and your specific genius and your superpowers are really meant to be shared.
That's so
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
And so it just feels so validating to know that, what we're doing is following the right path, the one that we've seen the blueprint like laid out for us. And also we're so different. We're so vastly different, but both of us are still manifestors, Gabby. I mean, Cherry, you have the projector, but I'm pretty sure there's a completely different version of a projector from whoever else just took it and got the projector label. Like,
Oh yeah.
everybody is so vastly different, but it's like amazing that we still end up on the same path here on this podcast together, using our voices together.
And like
But
the dream is like everyone understands their human design and lives in alignment with it, because that is like that will change the whole universe actually, because we're all like moving in the way that we're supposed to. And so like we've got the generators that are like keeping things going, we have the guides, we have the creators, we have the ones that break down old systems and bring new ones in. Like that, if we were all doing that, like think of how easy it would be. Because one of the most important things I think within human design is it's really so that you feel good. I think the universe wants us to feel good. And I think um, knowing your human design helps you stay in that kind of downstream living. Like we don't have to fight for our lives to achieve our purpose. We could actually go with the flow of life, being present and like mindful of who we are and what our purpose is. But then you can kind of go with life. We don't have to fight as hard. Because my strategy, yes, is to wait for the invitation. And I have my throat is filled in, so like that's a strong place for me. So I have a lot to say, and I'm a self-projected authority, so I have to like talk everything out. And I feel like I have good things to say, but if I'm not invited to say them, people are like, shut up, stop talking. And it hurts. And so I'm like, oh, I wait for the invitation and then I can share my truth, and this podcast is the invitation. But yeah,
truth.
Exactly. I like to reframe that because projectors are like, what do you mean I have to wait? I like to reframe that to like your strategy is to magnetize an invitation.
I love
Like
that.
you don't just sit around waiting. Like as a projector, you're building up your knowledge, you're sharing your special, special ideas, you're doing what lights you up, you're diving in, you're magnetizing the invitations. And when you're in that full projector guidance mode, that's when people start coming to you. You're that lighthouse. So you're not, it's like the waiting thing kind of like gets people. There was another thing I wanted to like double click on real quick was just experiencing the ease, like you said, like the universe, like our world would be so easy and flowy. And I know like I have experienced a taste of what that could be like at Burning Man, at places where everybody is in the present moment, is radically authentic, is expressing themselves, is giving, is all this stuff. You start to feel this shift into this galactic timeline where you're in the right place at the right time and the right people, and you never have to ask or need for anything. Everything that you want is literally brought to you, and you're at the, it's crazy, it's mind-blowing. Everybody that has experienced that knows what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's insane. And you're like, wow, this is actually how like humans can interact. Like if we're all in alignment, if we're all radically ourselves and expressing and in the present moment, and like life can be like that. I just wanted to also sidebar about this decision making thing. And I'm glad that we're recording this on the day that we're recording. We have rescheduled this quite a few times, and but we trust in the process. And honestly, I'm glad, because now I have this story to tell. I have just made a pretty big decision in my life, whereas in the past me would freeze up and I wouldn't know if I was making the right decision. I would be really anxious. I would, there's a lot of people pleasing, there's a lot of things in the air. But for me right now, I just made a big decision for myself, and I know without a doubt 100% that I made the right decision because I followed my strategy and authority, and I've been practicing that for 5 years, and that trust muscle is so strong. And I know what that feels like when my sacral says and I know what it feels like when my sacral says no. So I'm actually about to move. I just got a new apartment. I have been in a lease with an apartment in Florida down here with a roommate for 2 years. And I also had a really good friend who has a room opening up in her house. And all of our leases were up at the same time. And the friend wanted me to move into her house. And my roommate, I wanted, I guess, to continue to keep the lease going. There's been hardships on both sides, but we're not going to get into that. The fact of the matter is, I didn't feel okay with either of these decisions. Like staying in this lease at my current apartment didn't make me feel good. It made me feel like I'm ready to live on my own for a little bit and be in a, in my own space. And also my friend was really pushing for me to move into her house because she needed someone to fill the room, but that situation was not right for me. I, obviously love her and I would want to spend time with her, but thinking about it, and I even said yes. I was like, yeah, perfect, that makes sense. My lease is up. You need someone in your room. Let's go. Like a while ago. And I started to really realize that I was people pleasing both of them. Like if I was staying in this lease, it was because it was going to be easier on my roommate. If I was going to move into my friend's house, it was because it was going to be easier for her. And neither of those decisions were good for me. And I finally came, like, just last week, actually, I had hard conversations with both of them saying that, look, I need to cancel this lease and I'm not moving in with you. And I knew that they were both going to be a little upset. Like I knew that they were both like going to be disappointed in me. And, time is, it's like last minute, like, but I was like, this is what I have to do. I know people are going to be mad at me no matter what I choose. If I choose to stay here, she's going to get mad. If I choose to go there, she's going to get mad. If I choose my own thing, they're both going to get mad. Like somebody was going to be upset with me no matter what. And so past me would have just frozen up and not made a decision and like had the decision made for me. And then I would have ended up in a position that I really didn't want, that wasn't aligned for me. And so I, did the hard thing and had the hard conversations and, took it. And I was like, I know y'all are both upset with me, but like, I know with my whole heart that I'm making the right decision for myself. And that across the board made it easy for me to do that. And it's like, that's what you're practicing for in your daily experiments of like, it doesn't like okay, I'm going to follow my strategy authority of like, if I should go to this party or not. It doesn't matter if you go to the party or not. It doesn't matter if you go out to the taco place or the whatever, it doesn't matter. But you start to practice. You're like, my sacral really doesn't want to go to that party, but other people do. But I'm going to follow my sacral and kind of see what it feels like when I actually follow that, strategy and authority. And those small things that don't really matter in life, like those really add up to the point where you get to a big move or a big relationship or a big career change. And then for a fact you're making the right decision.
Ooh, I love that.
So I just wanted to share.
I think that's awesome and super important that we can start so small. Because I do have a story about it, but I see that you have a story as well. So you go ahead and then I'll share mine about it.
Sorry. Oh yeah. The end of that story is I literally, because of that, like I had no idea where I was going to move. I was like, okay, now I got to do this. And because of that, I literally immediately manifested my dream apartment, like in this beautiful pink Victorian apartment complex, like gorgeous building, a 2-bedroom for the exact price that I wanted to pay in the part of town, like a beautiful part of town, walking distance to work, right on the bay, like literally right on the water, like mind blown. And it's because I was in the right place at the right time and I was doing exactly what I needed to be doing. I literally walked by that building and I just walked by it and I was like, whoa, I love that building. And some guy was out walking his dog and he was like, you live here? And I was like, no, you live here? And he was like, yeah, I live in the Peak building. And I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to live there. And he was like, here's my landlord's number. Like maybe there's a unit. I called the landlord immediately. And he was like, yeah, there's a 2-1 opening up June 1st. And I'm like, that's exactly when I need to move. June 1st in my budget, 2 bedrooms. I can live by myself in a beautiful pink building. And I'm just, because I made all those hard decisions, I was able to manifest like the perfect situation for myself. Like goosebumps. I didn't even have to try. I just responded to life came to me.
Yes, that right. yes, I love this. I celebrate you. That
Mm-hmm.
is such a great story. It's so fun. I have one very similar in following my authority, and it has to do with career. And so I my 9 to 5 is business development for healthcare tech startups. So I help build out business development programs. I'm on LinkedIn a lot. I when I started in this industry was right when I kind of started learning about human design, and the whole thing about projectors is like go deep in a subject, like how can I specialize. I'm like, I'm not like super passionate about sales development or business development, but I think there's a way to hack this, and there's like stuff, it is connecting people like with things that they need, and I that resonates with me, and that's aligned with my purpose. So now I see where I can bring my purpose into my tech job. And then I was like, okay, I do need a new job. What I'm going to just experiment with here is following my strategy and wait for the invitation. That's kind of a hard thing to do if you're looking for a job and you need a new one. But my strategy is also to be visible as in whatever I'm interested in. So I just like leaned into LinkedIn posting, and I know that I'm connecting with people, and this is coming from a place of service. And I got someone reached out to me and asked if I wanted to have an interview for a position, and it ended up being like a 6-figure job, like perfect, full benefits, work from home, like literally they were like, we found you. And yes, like it's crazy. That's the last 3 jobs I've gotten, I have done that.
Wow, that's amazing. Nice.
Yes. So like now when someone reaches out to me and is like, hey, I'd like to talk to you about a position, I'll say yes, because I don't know what the universe has in store for me. But I'm no longer inviting myself places. So
Right.
it's like, yeah, I'm losing money if I do that. So yeah, that's like a funny way to think about it. But yeah, that's just like I mean, that for me is, it's a huge part of my life. And I can seriously say, like, I waited for that invitation and I followed my purpose and my strategy and my authority. And I talked about it. All I had to do was say it out loud to my husband. And he was like, that sounds like a yes. And I was like, it does. So
Yes.
yeah, that's fine. My
Yes, that self-projected G center. All you had to do was say it out loud. Like,
Right.
that's so cool.
That's awesome. That's kind of how we moved to Jacksonville too. We went to visit Miami, and I was like, I really want to move. I think that we've like capped out in Tulsa. Like, I'm ready to like go somewhere else, do something different. I want to move to Miami. And then whenever we got back home, realized that maybe Miami wasn't really the best option for us, but definitely still wanted to move to Florida and somewhere coastal. And then Jesus got an offer from work to move us over to Florida, to Jacksonville. And they relocated us, which is amazing. But um, even better is that whenever Gabby and I or whenever I was looking through the booklet that Gabby sent with all of my information, I thought it was really interesting that it said the environment that I am aligned with is the shores. Because I specifically picked myself up and said, no, I need to be by the ocean. Considering I was born in a landlocked state, smack dab in the center of the country.
Yeah,
So
that's another fun thing about human design, that it like also can point to the things that you're already doing in alignment, or maybe like you didn't even know, and it's like, hey, good job. And you're like,
yep,
oh,
yep,
good job.
exactly. It's like, okay, thank you. Okay, I was listening.
I'll have to unlearn everything.
Yeah, unintentionally being intentional.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, it's your energy body. Of course, you're gonna go through life and navigate driving your energy body how you're gonna do it, and you're gonna be naturally drawn to shores because that's where your energy is most lit up. You're gonna be naturally drawn to making these sacred decisions, or doing the lighthouse projector thing. You're gonna be naturally doing that because that's how you're literally coded. Like, that's how your brain works. That's how your body works. But now you actually have a map, a circuit board, a user manual. You have language and terminology and understanding to know why, to know how to
Right.
do it better, to not struggle so
Yes.
much.
How to
So
improve it
yeah,
on the way. Hmm.
absolutely. Yeah, exactly. How to be the master of you're not just like, what is it called, the NPC, and like you're not just an NPC like going through the game, like you're gonna go through the game, but now you have control. You now you're the one controlling your avatar, your character, and then you step back and you're not only the one controlling your avatar, your character on the game console, you're also the one like coding the reality. You're also the one making up your next levels, and it's just it's so
Yes,
cool.
yes. And the people who are on that, like they find each other, and then we wake up other people and we bring them in, and then we all get on a podcast together. It's dope.
Yes. Hey, as
And
long as we're all sharing the information that it took us to learn, that's the important part.
Exactly right. Okay, so I feel like we have really talked about like shadows and honoring superpowers. Is there anything else kind of in that vein that you wanted to share with our listeners before we kind of get to our last couple of segments?
Yeah, absolutely. So as I was kind of like going through and thinking about what it meant to do like the shadow work, and what it meant to really face the shadows and turn that into
Yeah.
superpowers, I like to say the term superpowers a lot. I like to think of these things that you receive on the other ends of these initiations as your superpowers, because it really is. And I like to think of your when you see your shadows, the things that you shame yourself for, the things that you hide, the things that are don't have light on them. It's just the other side of the coin of your superpowers. And so what I like to do is just kind of a practice that I like to do when I start to get really down on myself is I like to try to like write things out and see if I can reframe
Mm,
them. So, for example, I like to write things out that I think are faults for myself. So like for me, uh, my faults. I'm impulsive, I'm careless, I'm selfish. Those are three things that I like shame myself for. So I wrote those down, right? And I tried to figure out like, okay, what's the opposite coin? What's the opposite side of the coin of being impulsive? I'm fearless. I'm fearless. I just do things because I'm fearless. And so now I've turned that shame, that shadow into a
oof.
superpower. The next one is like I'm careless. Okay, what does that mean? How is being careless a superpower? And this one actually took me a while. I was like, ugh. And it's like I'm fully present. I'm not careless. I'm just fully present. I'm not worried too much about the past or the future. I'm
Mm,
fully present. And so if I'm aware that like I'm fully present in the moment, I'm not being careless. I'm just not worrying about all these other things and worrying about all these other
mm,
people. And then the third one I wrote down was I'm selfish. And what's the opposite, or what's the other side of what's my superpower for that is like I'm empowered. I'm opportunistic. It is such a gift to stand in my own power. I'm not selfish. I'm empowered within myself. And when I'm doing these things with intention, awareness, and alignment within my design, it's not going to be a source of pain for myself
mhm.
or others. So being impulsive, careless, and selfish has turned into being fearless, fully present,
Ugh,
and empowered. And like that's just such a like when you start to feel down on yourself, you start to like how do you do your shadow work? What does that mean? Just write the first one. It's easy to be like, what's wrong with me? That one's easy. Sit with that and really like look up antonyms and synonyms. Like really like research like what could be, and then find that for yourself.
mm,
So I thought that was a really
yeah.
cool practice
Oh
to
yeah.
share
Man,
I
for
have chills from that. Like, because that is just, it's so simple, but so potent and impactful. And I also really like what you said about find the synonyms. Like if you find your flaw and then like lean in like deep, because I think the more that we can like pull out of that when we flip to the other side, it's that much more powerful. So like if I say that I am, I don't know, selfish, like selfish and like arrogant, like just what are all of those things? And then actually it's I love the shit out of myself and I'm empowered and like all of those things. So I really like what you said there.
me
And
too.
Yeah, it's really just it's rewiring your brain. That's all it is. It's rewiring your thought processes because it's your thoughts become your reality. So once you're aware of your thoughts, then you can sit there and
Yeah, I really
redirect
love that
them.
this like focuses on not just talk positively or think positive thoughts. It really hones in on a deeper personality trait, and you can really do more introspection and self-analysis whenever you're thinking about these words, because like the further you go, the more particular and fine-tuned you're going to get. And then there's always the yin and the yang, so you're going to have both sides of the coin and can really lean into whatever that particular trait or pro and con is. I really like selfishness. That's something that resonates a lot because, a part of learning to use your voice is feeling that you're being selfish by asking for help or asking for something. No, it's empowered. It's not selfishness. I love it.
Yes, correct. Mm.
Yeah, we're taught to be small and to not take up space and to not be selfish, to do things for other people, to be a people
Yep.
pleaser. Like that fish with the rainbow scale book or whatever. You know what I mean? Like we're like
Yeah.
taught from a young age to not be selfish has such a negative connotation on that word, but it's actually such a beautiful way to live and be empowered. And by being empowered, you're stepping into your full authenticity. You're able to share your light. You're able to give back to other people because you've taken care of
Mm-hmm.
yourself first.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, cannot stress that point enough. Like there needs to be a paradigm shift on what selfish actually even means.
Yes.
And so like we think like, I don't know, if someone labels you as selfish, it's like definitely take that with a grain of salt and maybe dive in a little bit further. Why are they labeling you that, or why are you labeling yourself that? Is it because you're spending time on yourself? That's not. Like really identify what is it about you that you think is so selfish.
And are you putting words in someone else's mouth? That's something that I have a hard time with sometimes. I had to think back to, did they really say that? Or am I making that up? Because that's what I thought.
And that's where you're gonna say that I've been using this that you taught me, Silver. The story I'm telling myself is you're a jerk. No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
But no, the story
That one hits. That one hits. Because it really is like there's always three sides to every
Yeah.
story. Like, yeah, so whatever, my story, whatever. It might not be your
Exactly.
story, but
Exactly.
This kind of leads me, I think we can go into the next segment. I do want to ask you about To the Moon. I love to hear about this because my friend just went to the Moon for the first time this past year. I've been wanting to go for a long time, so I didn't even realize that you're one of the founding mothers.
Oh my god.
That is so cool.
Yes, so cool. It's been such a beautiful experience. Definitely lots of ups and downs. But yeah, I met up with a wonderful mentor goddess burner mama, and we both just linked up, and we just started meeting every week and had all these ideas. And we had the delusion that we were delusional to be like, yeah, we can do that. At first I was like, oh, it's just going to be a camp out, a couple hundred people, just a burner camp out. And now it's turned into a really quite a big and well-known
really
regional
is.
burn. Lots of beautiful art and beautiful leads and gorgeous land that it's on. And I'm so proud of it. I had a dark stain of memory from just the fact of my self implosion and ruining my reputation and feeling like I wasn't welcomed at my own burn. But that's a whole other thing, and that's something that I'm working through as well. But it's everything's always changing and shifting. And the thing about burns is it's all about impermanence. It's all about building something and watching it burn.
So this leads me to, in the future, as a more in tune person, more enlightened, and you understand yourself better in the future, how would you change the things, as you've gone through your Saturn return, you've felt these really big evolutions on a public scale. How would you change that moving forward? What kind of advice would you give to others that are looking to make these big steps, but they're still early on in their goddess journey and haven't had this, these revelations?
I think the main takeaways from this journey for me is, even though I had imposter syndrome and thought I was not worthy, I was absolutely worthy. I was made for this role. I stepped into the role that literally was
Yes.
made for me. And I embraced it. And I think also what I would have done differently is actually realized the power
Mm,
that I had. Not power and like a power over other people, but a power of influence. And when you become an influential person, you have you have the opportunity to do good with that, or to not. And it's like Spider-Man
yeah.
always says, like, with great power comes great responsibility. So I think, what I would have done differently is really embraced it instead of resisting it. I was resisting, like, oh, I'm not good enough, not good enough. Oh, okay, well, now I am in here, but I still don't feel good enough, so I'm just going to
Mm,
self-destruct. So I just, yeah, embracing the responsibility that comes with that, and really taking time to take a look at yourself and realize that what you do not only affects yourself, but now it affects
Mm-hmm.
other
mm,
people. And yeah, that's, I think I am a leader through trial and error. It's my kind of how I
totally.
coded my human design. I'm literally like meant to be like, I'm supposed to like stumble through life and mess up, but also succeed, but also like mess up so that other people don't have to. And I think that is a gift for me, is to like, I was meant to do that in the spotlight. I think that the reason that I had that experience and a lot of people were watching me, I think that was more effective to uh, effective to influencing people the right way than had I just stayed in this love and light,
Mm-hmm.
mentality. I think fucking up actually taught more people than me kind of
Yes.
preaching about spirituality.
Straight.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Because yes, like I think one of the most impactful things a leader can do is be real. And sometimes that means falling from grace and picking yourself back up. And like that's where you are stronger, brighter, more impactful than ever. And it doesn't take anything away from where you were at the beginning. And I love what you said of just leaning into your power more. And like, yes, like we have young goddesses listening to this that are maybe in similar situations. And I want to encourage y'all to, when you're feeling the kind of cracks or the shakes or something there, that it is okay to take a step back. I think like, I don't know that I would have been able to. I think I would have had to have it ripped from me as well.
Mm-hmm.
But like actually being able to take that time to say, okay, I'm going to remove myself to work on myself. That that's hard to do. I don't even know if I could do it now. I don't know like that.
I know.
But
I'm just thinking about Jesus and I actually talked about starting a burn when we were in Oklahoma because the regional burn there had dissipated, and there is now a new group that has since formed a burn. But it just was so intimidating. So, first of all, kudos to you, Gabby. That is a lot. I can't believe you were willing to do that. Yeah,
Very
for age 24,
intimidating.
like you were
Very
a badass.
intimidating.
Number one. Number two, to the young goddesses listening, like take that step. Like, yes,
yeah,
listen whenever you hear those, you feel those gut feelings, you need to step back and like slow down. But like, let this be, a testament that like you can do really cool things and really badass things if you just like open yourself up to it. I know you alluded earlier to burn magic, but it's a real thing. Like if people are all in alignment and they start listening to themselves and they start listening to those signs and the universe as it's telling you to move forward or back, like it's beautiful. Like burns are specifically special because of that. Like festivals can't replicate that. I've never experienced anything that can replicate that feeling.
mm, that sounds so awesome. I want to go.
They're amazing. And the amount of artwork that you see, it's burns have been my single biggest inspiration, I think, in my life, to be
Oh
honest.
my God. That's so special. That really is. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't be near anywhere who I am today without like going through all of that and yeah, being scared shitless and intimidated at the beginning and just doing it
Yes.
anyway.
Feel the fear, do it
Um
anyway.
it's no
Yes.
fearless. That's my superpower. Impulsive, maybe.
Definitely.
Fearless, yes. Like
You knew it early
so
on. You just didn't know
yeah,
And you created something beautiful.
exactly. Maybe a little bit of delusion.
I think you need that to, really go through life to the fullest. Need a little bit of Delulu. That's okay. But Gabby, also like something about like you created the thing. You did the thing. Like you didn't have to go through your Saturn return first for this incredible creation that is still going on, still impacting so many people to go through. So then I guess that's also like a double click on your point, Silver, of like, yeah, do it. Like if you feel the calling, go for it. Oh, and that leads me to a question. Gabby, did you have someone, I know that you created that with someone, the To the Moon burn. You mentioned another burn mama. Was she kind of like a mentor for you? Do you feel like you maybe missed out on some, or maybe needed another mentor during that time, like when you were feeling imposter syndrome or when you felt things starting to crumble?
No, yeah, she was absolutely my mentor through the whole thing. She still is. I have such a beautiful relationship with her. Andrea Kearns, shout out. She is just a gorgeous, older German lady. She's been doing this for a really long time. She's a triple Leo, first of all. Very fiery,
Yeah.
has the energy, has the oomph, the go. She's like, let's go. This is how we do it. I know exactly how to do it. Blah 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 blah. Like she had done the burn leadership, she had been a part of this, she knew exactly all the right things to do and all the right people, and she just like our balance together is so beautiful. She's very like hard German, get stuff done. She's kind of like a little hard to work with because she's very like go 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 Leo, like hard to work with kind of. But for me, I worked really well with her and I was able to soften her edges and connect more of the community. Like we needed both of our superpowers to be able to do that. She couldn't have done it by herself. I definitely couldn't have done it without her. And yeah, during all of this, like yeah, I definitely couldn't have done any of this without her. She believed in me from the get-go. She just met me and she believed in me and she was like, no, we're doing this. And I would be like, I've never done this before. I don't even know how to. I just got here. Like I was just skating barefoot in Hawaii. Like, what do you mean? Like how to do? So she believed in me from the get-go and she gave me the platform to really step into the power and to really like look up to her. And I'm just so grateful. We still have such a beautiful relationship now that we're both kind of moved on. The torch has been passed to new leadership with To the Moon, but that will always be such a beautiful and epic and powerful thing that we did and we created
That's amazing.
together. But yeah, it's so empowering and amazing to have a mentor in life, as a goddess, just to have somebody who will always have your back, who will look up or who will look out for you, who will believe in
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's necessary. Like,
I couldn't have done. I wouldn't be here without her for
This
sure.
makes me think of a moment that I want to acknowledge my work wife and tell her thank you for always believing in me, because I would not be where I'm at work without my work wife, Amber, telling me that I should go for it
oh,
and I should submit the application, telling me when the roles were open and pushing me to move into the role that I'm in now, which, just like Burns, kind of also changed my life because I actually love what I do and I work from home and, I'm comfortable now. So yeah, shout out to the goddesses in our life that are amazing and inspire us to do better and be better.
yes.
Yes,
Love
shout
y'all so
out.
much. That reminds me of one of mine, who she's the one who actually, she's also a German lady. Oh wait, I like connected you guys on Instagram. Ellie.
Yeah.
I have something I want to. Sorry. Okay. Yes, Ellie, she's from Germany and I met her in Charleston and she was like leading yoga classes and was just like kind of Charleston famous as just like wellness everything. And I loved her and her now ex-husband. their relationship, I was like, oh my God, they're perfect. Look at them. They're both beautiful and everyone follows them and they both do yoga and they've got it all together. And then a few years into knowing, and she actually helped me overcome an eating disorder and was kind of like the catalyst for like, get your shit together. Like, I'm not actually going to work with you if this is how you're behaving. And I was like, I want to work with you. So I guess I'll just keep all my food down. So sorry to be so flippant about that, guys. I don't take that lightly at all. And I use humor to overcome whatever I went through. Okay. So she tells me this. So I'm like working on this whole journey. And then we start working together a little bit more. And I'm starting to learn about like my birth chart and energy. And then she posts a letter on her Facebook where her talking about her husband had been cheating on their entire marriage. And my world kind of crumbled a little bit because I was like, wait a second. This is someone that's like aligned, everything. And her husband was doing that to her. First of all, how am I ever going to get married? I'm not on her level. And that could happen to me. And it just like threw me for a loop. And that was where I experienced her, Gabby, when I mentioned like leaders that not fall from grace, but aren't operating in the way that we saw them as leaders and we put them on this pedestal. And she like never drank. And then I saw her at a bar and she was drinking and that's what she was going through. And she was really honest about it and was like, yeah, this is what I'm going through. I'm gonna have a shot of tequila. Like not really who I am usually, but this is where I'm at right now. And the way that she owned that the whole time and the messiness of it was so inspiring to me still. And I still was like, okay, I definitely still see her as a leader. Yes, like my perfect view obviously crumbled, and that's so unfair to hold anyone in a perfect view. And then she was the one that a few years later, then she got into human design and introduced me to human design. And that kind of started that whole journey for me. So like, yeah, just like these impactful things, like leadership qualities, like you have, like that, your story is very similar in ways to hers. And anyway, just wanted to share that.
I like that. Own your messiness.
Yes.
Like just own it. Yeah, show up and be like, this is what I'm going through. Own your
Yes.
messiness. And that's, yeah, just authenticity is
Yeah.
really
And
so
now she's like
powerful.
back to, totally sober and stuff. And so like that's the thing, guys. Like life is going to go up and down like this, and we're not going to be like on our perfect yoga mat, meditation, green juice every day. And that's not what's required to have like a beautiful and meaningful, powerful, authentic life. Just your messiness. That's what's required.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay.
All right. Well, Gabby, as we wrap up, and we always want to ask our guests, if you could offer one piece of guidance to a woman going through her own Saturn return right now, what would it be?
Just drop the expectations. Let the tests and lessons come as they will. There's no guidebook to how your Saturn return will affect you, but most likely it will have something to do with what you're neglecting about yourself and your shadows. So take some time to go inward and lean into what's really starting to pull at you. Yeah, by knowing that the tests are coming, you can be more prepared with how you handle them. Ignoring or running away or disassociating will only make it harder and harsher. Find the magic of alchemizing your faults into your superpowers. And maybe get to know where your Saturn sits in your birth chart, what house it's in, how you work, and get to know how you work and what your role looks like, what your purpose looks like. Check out human design. but mainly just trust the process. Trust the process. It's okay. And try not to beat yourself up too much. Saturn's discipline is a gift of strength and will give you tools for your next level. And I have a mantra that I want to share with everyone that's really helped me, and I have it like written on my mirror, and it like gives me power just saying it. But adversity breeds strength. Adversity breeds strength. Remember that you are the one chosen to fight this battle, to withstand this hardship, to face this pain, because you are the one worthy enough to receive this power. You were chosen to go through this. You were the one in the spotlight. You were the one receiving this superpower. So change that, rewire your brain from being a victim of your struggles to being the hero of your story.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so good. I have chills. I'm sweating. That's fired up. Oh my God, that's gold. This whole conversation has been gold, and like with really practical things that we can take out to find out more about ourselves and to make this kind of big thing that we're all going to go through a little bit easier.
Mhm.
So where can our listeners find you, learn from you, support you, keep up with your magic?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Gabi Galactic. That's GABI_galactic. I'll have my link to my human design readings and astrocartography readings as well in that Instagram. I also have started another purely human design meme sharing Instagram. It's Age of Aquarius HD. So that's the tagline, Age of Aquarius HD. So follow me on Instagram. I'm not really active too much on Facebook or TikTok, but that's where you can find me.
Awesome. And I will link it also in the details of the show notes.
Yes.
Cool. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Gosh, thank you so much. Listeners, if you have any questions or anything, as always, please like, comment, subscribe. Join us on Facebook in the Goddess Collective. We'd love to just celebrate you, hear what's going on. And again, Gabi, thank you so much for showing us that transformation isn't always pretty, but it's always sacred. And to our listeners, whatever cosmic weather you're in, just know that you are not broken. You are becoming. You're going goddess, if you will.
Yes.
And so, yeah, until next
Yay.
time, stay radiant.
Stay empowered. And
keep going goddess. Welcome back to Going Goddess, the space for divine fiddle. We can do this. Okay.